Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. Joined with Anthony and Randall on a fine Friday night. This is the first of two podcasts tonight. Randall, it's been a while, but I think I'm going to be seeing a lot more of you now.
Yeah, we're back in action, thankfully. We got college football coming. There's preseason going on for NFL starting now. So the wheels are turning, and I'm excited to get football back.
And Anthony, this is the beginning of your weekend too. How's everything going?
Yes, it is. It's going well. Happy to be here as always on a Friday night. It's been a minute since I've been with Randall, but this is going to be a fun. It's going to be a fun show. We're talking about what some would say is the best conference in college football, but that's probably another conversation for another day. But it's going to be a good one.
Cool. So this podcast has kind of changed themes a little bit, but we're going to be going through the top defensive players in the SEC. And some might argue the top defensive players are also the top players of the SEC. But we're at minimum going to focus on the top SEC defenders. And Randall, just out of curiosity, 'cause we haven't talked much this draft cycle. Who is the top SEC player on your defensive player on your board?
Keldrick Falk from Auburn all day for me. I love Keldrick Falk. I've been on him since about May. He's a big guy. He's at 6'6", 280, 11 tackles for loss, 45 pressures, 7 sacks, and 5 QB hits. He's got a 15% pass rush win rate. His best game was against Georgia last year, which is always impressive to see in my eyes. He had a 2-sack game of 5 tackles against Georgia. He's got it all. He can run 3-tech. He can run 5-eye. He can run 7-eye. He's got a good initial burst. He's got a good first step, and he's strong from top to bottom. So he dictates well at the line of scrimmage. For his run support, he has a pass rush plan. He's got a spin move. He's got a nice rip. He's got a good on shedding. He moves laterally well in the run game. So on outside runs, he keeps his tackle or his guard at bay to shed and make a tackle for loss. I think he's got everything. I think he has a good shot at taking the number one edge spot, depending on how Ruben Bain ends up. And I think he's better than TJ Parker in my eyes. But I do have Ruben Bain ahead of Keldrick Falk when it comes to overall. But Keldrick Falk can definitely take that spot.
Yeah, I echo everything you said about Falk. For me, it's a 3-horse race for top edge between him, Bain, and Parker. Mm-hmm. And I could see any one of them getting that top spot. But just in terms of like edge players that check all the boxes in terms of like physical traits and, the different ways that he wins. He wins with power, but he can also win with quickness, but he can also win with the pass rush moves. Like he really does do it all. I think the one knock that I had was just I did feel like there were times where he kind of just like disappears. So I just want to see like just consistency, throughout the SEC schedule. But yeah, he's dynamite. He feels like someone I feel pretty confident is going to be at least, a top 20 pick and very easily could be top 5, top 10, pretty handily come next April.
Yeah, you kind of see that. Like, I agree 100%. He gets sometimes his hand placement isn't ideal either when he's running that, and then he'll lose leverage in there. But watching away, it almost actually matches his stats because he's got the 11 tackles plus, but he only has 7 sacks and 5 QB hits. That isn't a test to getting washed away like for a quarter at a time, which is kind of brutal when it comes down to it. But that echoes his production. And then I think he's such a dynamic player. Like he's built like a compression pass rusher, but he's got enough talent to actually be able to move twitchy and things along those lines, so he can do it all. So I just expect it to hit 12 plus sacks and 8 plus QB hits. That puts him in the top 10.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So the SEC, Anthony, I got a question for you because I was trying to when we were doing this podcast, I thought we were doing 1 through 10, and I was having a rough time stacking my linebackers. How do you feel about the linebackers in the SEC?
I think the linebackers in the SEC, like there are several really good ones. Like, and coming off of not even this past class, like the past couple draft classes, I'd say where linebackers been, I would say, pretty weak overall in terms of the class as a whole. The SEC in particular actually has like several linebackers that I think people are going to be very excited about. I mean, my number one is CJ Allen at Georgia. He just feels like I was about to say Roquan Smith. And I mean, I guess you could say it's a little bit of helmet scouting, but like it just feels like Roquan Smith all over again.
Yeah.
The way that he's able to just play downfield so effectively, his processing both pre and post snap, I think is about as good as it gets. But he's also a good athlete. He also has excellent range, I think. He can fight through blocks. There are just times I want to see a little more. I want to see him clean up some technique and coverage. Little things like that. I also think he can improve as a blitzer a bit. But he's big enough. He's 6'1", 235. So you're not worried about like his frame at the next level. But yeah, he's I think he's fifth on my board, like out of everybody. So I again, and I think Roquan went. I'm trying to remember. I think he went like 10 when he was drafted.
Yeah.
So I could see that like pretty much happening again. But there's other ones. I mean, I also love Randall Wilson, who's also on Georgia. He's a guy, he might not declare, but he's a freak athlete at the linebacker position. Anthony Hill at Texas, people love. And I think checks every box other than just sometimes his tackling makes me cringe so hard. Deontay Lawson at Alabama is another one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of good linebackers that I could see, at least talent-wise, deserving a top 50 spot. What the linebacker position's one of those that gets devalued.
So linebacker is so stacked. How many linebackers are at the top of your linebacker board before you find a linebacker that's at another conference? Like, do you have all those guys ahead of Sonny Styles?
I think I have all but. Let me check quick. I think I have all but Lawson ahead of Styles, and that doesn't. I don't want that to sound like I don't like Sonny Styles. Like I am a huge Sonny Styles fan too. They're all in my.
How good the linebacker class is.
That's what it is. It's like
crazy.
CJ Allen is 5 on my board. Then I have Anthony Hill and Randall Wilson are both in the 20s. Sonny Styles is at 48, so like he's in my top 50. But he's also linebacker 4 because I just think the linebackers are that good. And then Deontay Lawson's right behind him at 58. So like there's
Anthony, have you watched Whit Weeks yet?
I have. I'm not as people love him. I like him, but I'm not like, let's get him.
Okay.
I think he's good. I have issues with him in coverage. And he's a smaller guy, so it feels a little more important to me. But I see the vision with him, and I could see him being a riser, but just right now I think he like somewhere in like the 80s or 90s for me on my board. So
for sure. No, I get that. I have Sonny Styles as my linebacker 1, but then
I get
it takes me about, just on my defensive board, about 55 more spots to get to Drake Bowen, Notre Dame, before the linebackers exit the SEC. But I agree. I mean, CJ Allen, he's so it's not, when you say you're helmet scouting, it's almost not, because it seems like they recruited him because he's so Georgia linebacker-esque.
sure.
I've been trying to search the internet to see how long his arms are, because his arms are insanely long, and that helps with his tackling technique. I think he only has like a 6% missed tackle rate because he has that upper body strength with those arms, so he can kind of just radius tackle anytime he wants. So I agree. I mean, I like Anthony Hill. I have basically Anthony Hill and CJ Allen neck and neck, and that's probably what you had mentioned is, you take away the pass rush from CJ Allen, but then you add the pass rush to Anthony Hill because he's got really good pass rush. But then Anthony Hill's tackling's bad, while CJ Allen's tackling's incredible. So it's almost kind of give or take. And I have Whit Weeks pretty high as well, but I see where and tell me if I'm wrong actually. But what the vibe I got is like Whit Weeks has a lot of good qualities about him, but sometimes you fall into that trap, which I did, which Jack Beck is Besh is working out. But like he's a locker room guy, 100% effort. Like the first three things you talk about that aren't technique or his ability, and they're more like locker room or he's got a good heart sort of thing, is where you kind of get trapped in there where you want him to succeed, but he might not be that big talent sort of thing. So I'm curious to see how he plays out this year, because it'll be big, especially coming off that big injury that he had as well.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I'm always like, I never know how to frame guys coming off injuries or
Right.
like having dealt with injuries. Like it's summer scouting. I try like not to factor it in too much because I just feel like I don't want to do that until like I see the season plays out and, you know, God forbid they get hurt again or they're clearly not 100%. It's like, okay, now I'll weigh this a little more. But I try to be just like, you know, as positive and optimistic as I can be. But like I said, I had issues with him in coverage. And as a guy who is, you know, he's only 225 is what I had. So if you are going to be one of these smaller linebackers, I kind of need you to be a better cover guy, in my opinion. And I've had some problems. I thought he lost his man at times. And he didn't really play the ball in the air as much as I wanted him to. But listen, you know, you want a guy to be a locker room leader and a, you know, positive influence and a, you know, have the heart and all that good stuff. But yeah, when that's like the first notes in your scouting report before you are impressed by play on the field, could be a red flag in disguise.
So another, let's say, I'm going to call him a sleeper linebacker in the SEC. He's a junior at Oklahoma, Samuel Omasigo. So he's only started 3 games out of the 23 that he's played. But when we covered him on the Oklahoma podcast, and to quote Owen, I'm a sucker for safeties that have converted to linebacker. So he's 6'1", 235, according to the school website. That would be another SEC linebacker to have your eyes on either for this draft class or the next draft class. But that's definitely a name I'm paying attention to.
Can I, Randall, I'm going to assume you watched him, but maybe you didn't. Have you watched Taron Perkins at Ole Miss?
Oh, yes, I have, for sure.
What do you do with that?
Nothing. I mean, it's so like it's crazy because I remember Jim last cycle we did an Ole Miss podcast, and so I watched every Ole Miss game before the season ended because we did the Ole Miss podcast. And every time I was watching their defense, Suntarine Perkins stood out, and he makes these incredible plays, and he can do it. He can't do it all because of his wait, what is it? 210, 215?
Yeah, I have 210, I think.
Yeah. So he shows that he has the ability, but the issue is that that's just not going to cut it. And depending on what weight he hit, like I'm not sure if a fall weight came out for Perkins, but there's no way that he's going to make it in the NFL under 220. So weight is so important when it comes to the linebacker role. Even at 210, like outside linebacker wouldn't work either. There's no real position in my eyes for him in the NFL, and he needs to adjust his body in some way because he's got all the talent in the world. It's just not an NFL body. It just doesn't work.
See, here's
Speaking
the thing.
of players without a position, what about the other Perkins, which is Harold
Perkins.
Very similar issue.
Yeah. I was not a big fan of watching Harold Perkins, and him coming to LSU I thought would be big for him, which it can be because he will be with Whit Weeks and stuff like that, so they can work as a duo. But as an individual linebacker, Harold Perkins is more like an edge and just kind of an outside guy, and I just was not a big fan of him.
And Harold Perkins has the ACL torn ACL, so that's just adding another layer that again, as I just said, I try not to like weigh medical stuff too much, but you can't just like pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to say it. Suntarine. I apologize. Like I completely agree with literally everything you said. But then I watch him.
Yeah.
I watch him like move Will Campbell like a forklift and like get in the backfield and force a bad pass, and the quarterback Nussmeier throws an interception. And I'm like, what? But he did that. But he's only 210. But he just messed up the 4th pick in the draft this past year. Like, I don't know what to do. My brain like can't wrap my head around what to make of this. Like, he plays like, if you didn't know his weight, if you didn't know any of his measurables, you would think that he's like a 230, 240 guy that shows that he can play on the edge and rush the passer and also like can drop back into coverage. But he's not. But and again, you're right. Like, you can't be a 210-pound pass rusher in the NFL. Like, there's literally no example of that that I know of in the history of the National Football League.
Yeah.
But like, my notes are hilarious. I wrote down wild rep against Will Campbell. Feels like he's playing 30 pounds above his weight. Has no business being this good of a run defender for 210 pounds. Like, every note is just contradicting everything I've ever known about being an edge rusher. So I almost like, I kind of just by default had to give him a day 2 grade, and I'm just gonna like see how I feel after the season. And like, I don't know, man. He might just have to be. He might just wind up being like the what was his name? The North Carolina center. That was like super underweight. Lampkin.
5'10", yeah.
Yeah, Willie Lampkin. Yeah, it was like, what, 5'10", 270, and everybody was like, you can't do that in the NFL. You know what? He had great tape. I don't even care. Put him on a team. I'll figure it out.
And Anthony, we said something really similar about Harold Perkins when we did the LSU podcast, is they said, that's a talented player. That's a top 50 player, but you have to have a plan for how you're going to use him.
Yeah.
Because he's not the normal linebacker that you're expecting to draft. They said whether you're going to play him like off-ball linebacker on early downs and move him to edge on passing downs, you don't necessarily want him to set the edge on early downs. So you have to have a plan, and whether it's going to be linebacker, move him to edge, or maybe linebacker, move him to nickel. You have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to be able to use Harold Perkins the way that you would use other types of linebackers.
No,
do you agree with that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's right. And honestly, that's what kind of makes this, what we do kind of difficult is, we could sit here and, talk about how we value certain traits and certain, skills that a player has and weighing the pros and cons of, their measurables versus their talent or whatever. At the end of the day, like, a player can go to one team and become a great player, or they could go to another team with the same exact skills and tools and mindset and just have nothing happen because the coaches don't know how to utilize that player's talent. So, it's an educated guessing game, but then it's also kind of just like luck of the draw. If you get one of these, defensive coordinators that we've seen, able to utilize guys in different ways versus ones that, get fired. But I 100% agree though. Like, Harold and Suntarine Perkins, like, both of them need the right coach and the right, scheme fit or whatever to be a successful NFL player and be able to contribute.
All right, I got a difficult question, and then I want to bounce off that one too with the coordinators, because that was a good point. Okay, so Suntarine Perkins, is a junior, right? True junior.
I
Pretty sure.
believe
Pretty sure
that's
he's a true
right.
junior.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had 11 sacks last year, 0 QB hits. He was good in coverage, good tackler, decent tackler. Now, let's say you're his agent, and he posts another 11, 12 sack year, decent coverage, same kind of tackling. Do you have him stay? Like, would you think that at the end of that year, if he kind of repeats what he did last year, that he should declare, or he should just do another year and then work on his body? Let's say he stays at 210 for the rest of the year. Like, what would you tell him on that kind of circumstance?
Well, two things. One, it doesn't strike me as like a frame that can add that much more weight. Like,
right.
He's 210. He's also 6'1". Like, it's not
Right.
like, I mean, there are linebackers that are 6'1", like I just CJ Allen, 6'1", 235. But it doesn't strike me as a guy that can easily just add 20 pounds and then just do the same exact thing. I mean, maybe.
I think he could add 10.
I think he could add 10. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. Which would, honestly, that helps a lot.
I know, it really does.
So yeah, I mean, you definitely want him to put on at least some weight, that he feels comfortable with. And in terms of whether he declares, I kind of just feel like, so yeah, if we're assuming that, he had the 11 sack this year, he had 11 sacks this past year, and then if he comes in, basically has like the same sort of like highly productive, big time season, like, if he's in contention for, I forget the names of each award, but if he's in contention for the Player of the Year award or Best Linebacker award, whatever, like, if he has that kind of season, I don't really see a reason to stay. Like, I mean, unless you're getting a boatload of NIL money, which I don't imagine a linebacker is, but I just kind of feel like, you've proven what you can do. Right. And now you're going to tell teams, okay, look, you've seen me get 20 plus sacks in 2 seasons in the SEC. I'm going to build, I'm going to put on some weight, add some muscle, keep working on my, overall play strength. But, I'm productive. Like, that's your message. And again, like, it's tough to argue with 20 sacks in the SEC. Like, as much as we could sit here and say, the 210's a problem, weight's a problem, you can't be this small. He had 20 sacks in the SEC. Like, there's a lot of, there's a lot of good offensive tackles in the SEC that I could sit here and tell you about too. And if Sunshine Perkins is beating them the way he beat Will Campbell on that one play, I mean,
as a sophomore and a junior, right? Not even a junior into a senior, sophomore into a junior, which is insane. I agree. And then when you were talking about the defensive coordinator, which obviously now that I don't think I've podcasted with you in like 2 months, you gave me a little plug to talk about this, is Cole Brevard going from Michigan State to Purdue and now to Texas. And watching some of his Michigan State, saw his real talent. Watching Purdue, I don't think the defensive coordinator over at Purdue did him that well, to be honest with you. And I think his move to Texas is going to be incredible for him. He was because I did rank it my number 9 SEC defensive player that I'm excited to watch. And I'm really excited to see him. What'd you see out of him?
Yeah, first of all, I feel like I think I made this joke on some previous podcast before. You could make a team out of all the players that Purdue screwed up and like force them to leave. Like, you could do it. You have, I mean, I love Dylan Theineman. You have Scorton from last year. You have Brevard, as you just talked about. The Purdue just like found a way to get all these talented players and yet completely like mishandle them just so poorly.
A big team fluffer.
Yeah. But I think you're 100% right. Like, I will ask. I've seen multiple listed weights for him. And not just like, some guys are like, one says 340, one says 335, one says whatever. I've seen everywhere from 315 to 346. So I don't know where he is. But on the spectrum, he's a big guy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so
I got him at 333.
At that, I've also seen that. I saw that.
Yeah.
But I've seen Texas listed him at 346 on their site,
Whew.
which I don't think I believe that.
I don't either. Yeah.
I think I lean toward like a 330 something. But anyway, for that size, if he's 330, super twitched up, super athletic. I think he has the length and power to be able to win one-on-one. He also got double teamed a lot, which I think losing, because that, Scorton was gone by that point, so they didn't have to really think about too many other threats on the. I mean, I guess Will Helt was still there, but the defensive line definitely took a hit. But yeah, he got double teamed a lot. But I think he was able to handle it pretty well. There were just times where I felt like he was either, I guess it was just like slow to react and fill run lanes and fill gaps. I also thought he just got stood up as a pass rusher. Like basically he would have this initial rush, which he could win with, but then like if that didn't work, like that was it. And that was basically the end of the rep for him, and he just lost.
Right.
So I want to see him add a little more to a pass rush repertoire. But when you go to a place like Texas, where I could rattle off how many defensive tackles in the past couple years. Tavondre Sweat, who I loved, Byron Murphy.
Yep.
We just saw Alfred Collins, who I was a huge fan of. So there's all these defensive linemen that Texas has had. So if he gets the same tutelage that they've gotten and can, again, I think he's a great athlete at that size. And we've seen what Texas can do with these freakish athlete defensive tackles. So yeah, definitely somebody I am excited about. And yeah, Purdue just hasn't done anybody any favors on that team. So yeah, definitely somebody that I would be excited about. I don't remember where he is. Let me see where he is on my board. I don't think he's in my top 100, but like he's close.
Yeah, I think he's right around. I think he's right around there for me.
Wow. Yeah, I actually have him 150. I mean, that makes sense, I guess. I was gonna say like I think he's like a day 3 guy right now, but like could definitely one of those guys that could be like a riser.
Agreed.
Sure.
I really like his ankle flexibility when he's defending the run, so he can adjust to the tackles. And I think as long as he gets his initial burst, and he kind of wins that first step, then he can bully in the run, where if he's going leverage, he can place his hands correctly and then just move. Like his double teams, he can move 2 guys to close gaps, which I really love that strength at 333. So I agree. He's one of those guys that I watched early, and I'm like, this guy could be it. So now he's stuck in my head sort of thing, and I'm hoping that he works out, especially with Meteor's love for defensive tackles at Texas. I think Texas is going to do him wonders.
Yeah. So how about, I was looking at the cornerback list. Do both of you have McCoy as your number 1 cornerback on your board?
I do. I do. Yeah.
Okay. Who's your number 2 SEC corner behind McCoy?
That's a great question.
Domani Jackson.
It might be Domani Jackson. I'll tell you, because I wrote down, Randall, you said it earlier. I thought we were gonna do top 10, which is fine that we're not. But my point is, I had the 15 players stacked of SEC players because I wasn't sure if we were doing defense or if we were doing all whatever. My point is, I didn't have any other corners besides Jermon McCoy in my top 15 SEC. Oh, it's I have Devin Moore from Florida. I'm a big Devin Moore guy.
Yeah, they're gonna expect big out of him. This year. Yeah.
He's another one. You kind of have to like not weigh the injury so much.
I know,
and just assume that you're getting the best of him. But like,
when was his injury? Do you remember? I thought it was pretty early.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was definitely after a few games. Did I write it down? I probably didn't.
Let me see.
I'm so inconsistent with my notes.
Same.
I have to get better with that.
Yeah,
sometimes I get into full detail, like about a player's like life, and then other times I just don't feel it, and I just don't.
So It was week 8. He had the shoulder injury that
That's
shut him
right.
down.
Yes.
Yep. But 6'2", almost 200 pounds. He's got a great frame. He's got speed. He's proven that with his fluidity and his hips, that he can run with anybody. I mean, I think his best man game was against Georgia, and he ran with Arian Smith multiple times, which was very impressive. He's got 3 levels of speed. He's got a really good trail technique for being younger, and I think he's got a lot. With that shoulder injury and only playing 7 games, I didn't put him in my top 12 or 13 that I had. But me and you have talked about Devin Moore, and I think he'll be a high riser for sure.
Yeah, I think he kind of gives me like, I don't think he's quite the athlete, but he gives me like how I felt about Darian Porter last year. Like, just checks every box in terms of size, length, athletic, good speed, good ball skills. What I liked about him too is he actually, like, his best games were as the season went on. Like the Georgia game, he obviously got hurt, but the Georgia game you talked about, was mirroring their fast receivers.
Arian
Smith. Kentucky, who had Barian Brown and Dane Key.
Yep.
And he did very well against them. He didn't allow any receptions per PFF, and I didn't see any. But so, like, as the season went on and as the SEC kept, as Florida kept playing SEC teams, he looked like he was just getting better and better before obviously getting injured. So, like, if he has a full season where he's playing like the quality of football that he was playing, in those final games before the injury, like, this, to me, it just feels like an easy, first round, if not at least like top 50 cornerback. Like, he just, there's only so many corners that are going to be 6'2" with that length and that size and that speed and that athleticism. Especially in this class, there's a lot of corners that are like 5'9", 5'10", and like 190 pounds soaking wet.
Oh, like, yeah, I know.
Like, and they're really good, but like, you want somebody a little bigger.
Limitations,
right.
Yeah.
There's limitations, whereas a 6'2", 200-pound guy will not have those limitations.
So I have a question about Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina. Do you guys see him as a safety or a corner? And how high is he on your list of SEC defensive players?
Okay, so
go ahead, Randall.
Yeah. Right now, I have him as a slot cornerback, and I think I'm actually the minority out of that situation. I think most people see him as a safety, but he played most of his time as a slot. So I'm curious to see what happens with South Carolina, because they got another kid that also plays slot, I believe from Charlotte or UNC. I got to get his name while Russo talks. I can find that name. So they both are mainly slot guys. So it almost kind of makes me seem like South Carolina might move Kilgore to safety because of that, so then they can both operate on the same system. But I am a pretty good Kilgore fan. I think in my defensive board, I have him, let's see. I didn't have him in my top 10, but I believe he was in my top 20 in defensive players. But I really like his style. Let me put up my scouting for him.
Anthony, what did you have on Kilgore?
Yeah.
So I think he's a safety. But I get the slot corner argument. I think you're thinking of is it Sissy?
Yes.
Sissay?
Yes.
I don't know how you say it.
Yep.
He wasn't on my list of player names I learned.
Yeah.
But I think Kilgore is just not quite as fluid as I would want him to be to just be a true corner. But he's another one, like you love the size that he brings to the table, especially in this class. And I could certainly see a world where like kind of the way, not to the same level talent wise, but kind of the way that we talked about Malachi Starks, where like safety's the primary spot, but like there are moments where you can put him slot corner and you can feel okay about it. Like I can definitely see that happening, when he gets to the league. But yeah, I have him. I think he's also like outside my top 100, but like a early to mid day 3 kind of guy. But I mean, anytime you're a corner that is like
6'2",
over 6 foot and over 200 pounds, you're probably going to be able to find your way to the league as long as you're athletic enough, and I think he is. So
yeah, I mean Larry for Arkansas, Larry Worth the third, he's 6'4", 230. They're trying to figure out whether he's going slot or nickel as well for Arkansas. So it is in that same boat, and I think they have similar, like, to be honest, like Kilgore, I think his biggest flaw is probably route recognition. I think he tries to guess at the stem, and that's probably one of his biggest flaws. But he's such a menace at the line of scrimmage, which he can do that as a safety and things along those lines. 31 solo tackles was incredible. He got a forced fumble and 5 interceptions. The production's there. So it's almost, I guess, one of my thought process was, well, if you're sitting as a slot corner, you have 5 PBUs, 5 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, why change it? And that'd be a curiosity to see how he does transitioning over to the safety, which it shouldn't be much transition to it, but just curious if you just want to keep status quo with how well his production was. And then one of my top 10 that I don't think that Russo you might have in your top 10 for SEC is Tyreek Sapp. Do you have Tyreek Sapp in your top 10?
I do not. I am not. Something bothers me about Tyreek Sapp, and I think it's just like from a visual, just like looking at him standpoint, like I get it. Like he's like super, fluid athlete. I think he has a great first step. He's explosive. I like his initial punch. He had a few like good reps against Mauanoa in the Miami game. Like at the forefront, like there were a lot of good things about Tyreek Sapp. So like I could understand why you and plenty of other people like have him high.
Yeah.
There were just times where I just thought he was like I talk about how Falk was like inconsistent at times. Sapp just felt like super inconsistent, like egregiously inconsistent, like to the point where like I'm kind of questioning like work ethic, and I have nothing to like base that on in terms of like any sort of reporting about his character or anything like that, or coaches' concerns. Like I nothing in that realm, but just like watching him play, like it just felt like he just did not care, like on multiple stretches in games and multiple like snaps, and not from like a physical, like a conditioning standpoint. Like he just, like I wrote down, he had 0 pressures against Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, and Kentucky.
That's what I was about to say.
That's 4 games.
Yeah.
4 games. I mean, at least two of those are like playoff teams. Texas A&M, very good team in their own right, and Kentucky is not even that special. But like 4 games like that, of that caliber, in your conference, and you had 0 impact essentially on disrupting the quarterback. Like, again, the flashes are there. Like I talked about him, he had a great game against Mauanoa, and I think he played well against LSU, with their very good offensive line. But like, I don't know how to counteract the the really good with like what I think is really bad. So that's why like I'm right now, like I'm keeping him at day 3. Also, I guess I can kind of just frame this as a question. Are most people putting him at edge? Because like he's 6'2", 274, which
Yeah.
it's not big enough to be like a, it's not big
Three-tech.
enough to be
Yeah.
a 3-tech,
No.
but I almost want him to like get bigger, put on good weight, and be more of an interior guy. Because I would worry about putting him on the edge as a smaller, kind of sawed off, but like bigger edge guy. But he just doesn't feel like a true edge player. So you give your thoughts on Tyreek, but that's kind of one of my issues too.
I would, if he went that route, it would make so much sense, to be honest with you, if he chose that route. I still like him as an edge. I think he needs to work on some things, most definitely how he gets washed away. I think I need to see this year to confirm that effort, because I kind of saw that sometimes, and you're right. I literally had the zero pressures and stuff like that. And like he's a better at defending the run than he is at pass rush, without a doubt. I think his long arms, he does that initial punch is great, and he'll keep that one arm out and extend it, so then the tackle can't get any grip strength on him or anything along those lines, so he can defend the run well. You're right, he's fluid. He runs laterally well on outside runs, so he handles that really well. There was he had like 4 straight games where he didn't miss a tackle, and then he did like 3 straight games where it was like 40% missed tackle rate. So like that inconsistent, I'm really with you on that. I think since he is better at defending the run, if he decided to bulk up to 285 and be a 3-tech, I think that would work, especially because he's 6'2", so he has that lower leverage that he can work, so he doesn't need to bulk up to 290, 295 sort of thing. So I think that would do him well. But I mean, I like it. Florida uses him sometimes in coverage. 5% of his snaps are in coverage too, so that 274 build, that would kind of go away, but he can pull back, and he's that fluid of an athlete where he works in there to make some disguise blitzes or pull up into coverage. I do like him. I'm looking at that upside. My big question for him would be, is you really are going to have to analyze his tape this year to see, the effort, which we both kind of saw, to question the effort is accurate. And he's going to be next to Caleb Banks, which is going to be a top tier draft pick. How much is he feeding off Caleb Banks? How much did he do it individually, or how much of it was a team sort of thing, is what we're going to have to analyze throughout this year as well.
If he puts on, like, it really doesn't even have to be that much. If he puts on like 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds, and a team like takes him, assuming like you're getting like he's consistent and he, keeps playing up to the level that like he flashes, like I could see the vision of taking him and trying to make him your Kalijah Kancey. Like, and I don't think he's like he's not as explosive, I don't think, as Kalijah Kancey is, but like that kind of like smaller, shorter, but can win with explosiveness and win with an initial punch, off the line of scrimmage.
Buffalo, right, Jim?
There you go.
Yeah, that's exactly what Buffalo.
I would be hoping for like David Bailey. I'm hoping for David Bailey in Buffalo.
That would be fun too.
He's at Texas Tech, which is an SEC.
No, he's not.
Yeah. I'm a little lower on David Bailey than most, even though his pass rush win rate is pretty like, I think he's number 1 pass rush win rate in last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he I know this is an SEC conversation, but I think if you just ranked pure pass rushers, like didn't factor in anything else about being an edge player, and you just said who are the best pass rushers in this class, I think David Bailey's top 3, probably at least. But like,
I would say top 5. Yeah, I'd say like number 5. Yeah.
The problem is like he struggles with pretty much literally everything else that you need to do as an edge player, like setting the edge against the run. Forget about it. So like,
have you guys already talked about LT Overton?
No, but we can. I like him a lot.
So is LT Overton, regardless of position, inside your top 10 SEC defensive players?
Yeah, he's in my top 20, regardless of conference big board.
Right.
I'm a big LT Overton.
Randall, how about you?
So I think the difference between me and Russo at this point is I know that Russo doesn't take production as much as I do into account. And right now, he is probably going to be my fast mover because I do think that he has all the tools to produce. And thank God he's not at Texas A&M. I think Alabama, he's going to end up producing in this final year. But the production put me at like 15th in the SEC defensive for me, just like outside the top 10. But I do love him. I mean, he's got all the tools. Playing 3-4 as defensive end in Alabama, he's got such power in his pass rush. Probably one of the top, I'd say top 3 in speed to powers when it comes to this class. He's so aggressive. He beats offensive line right off the snap. He's got a decent spin move for 6'5", 283, to be honest with you, and that was kind of fun to see. And he ends up getting, which I put as a note, is he ends up getting a lot of holding flags on offensive linemen because I think he is so explosive that offensive linemen will just hold him. He has dropped back and covered the flat and screens. He's that athletic. Production is all I'm looking for. I put top 50 pick, will rise with production.
Okay, so I'm looking at the defensive line list. So we've talked about Keldrick Falk. We've talked about Caleb Banks. We've talked about LT Overton. Who's the next highest SEC defensive lineman after those 4? So that was TJ Parker, Keldrick Falk, Caleb Banks.
Well, TJ Parker's.
Parker's wrong conference. So that was Keldrick Falk, Caleb Banks, LT Overton. Who is the 4th best SEC defensive lineman?
For me, and I don't know where you have him, Randall, but it's Kristen Miller from Georgia, the defensive tackle. This dude. This dude's a dude. Like I won't be surprised. I don't think he's going to be in many. Hank knew it. There he is. Look at that. I don't think he's going to show up in many first round mocks right now. But if you tell me that by January he is in everyone's first round mock, I won't be surprised one bit. He is violent. He's powerful. He's athletic. He's 6'4", 305. Redshirt junior. So we talk about Peter Woods as someone who's very athletic and versatile. This is Christian Miller, took dozens of snaps over the shoulder, dozens of snaps in the A gap, and obviously most of his snaps in the B gap. Holds the point of attack so well. Another guy that takes on double teams and fights through them. Again, just using that just those powerful hands that he has. I think mainly it comes down to so I think he generates a lot of power like in his hands and has natural strength. I want to see more power in his lower half and being able to drive offensive linemen, backward and get into the pocket that way. There are times where he gets off balance and can play. He plays high, a little too much. Also, just it lacks consistency as a pass rusher. I think he just needs to refine that and get more developed in that area. But you see it. You see NFL defensive tackle when you watch him, which really shouldn't be a surprise. He's playing at Georgia and he's a defensive tackle. He's not going to be like the freak athlete that Jalen Carter was, but he certainly can wind up in the first round. Like he's so fun to watch. His best moments are up there with the best defensive tackles in this class.
Yeah, he brings so much chaos to it. That's what's fun about it. Like his highlights are insane because he'll close a gap almost by himself and then allow other people to come out. But what you mentioned, I feel like he has really good ankle flexibility, and I feel like sometimes Georgia, it was his job to just kind of anchor on the line to hold spots for the rest of the line to do that. So I didn't really take that much off of him for sometimes like just kind of standing there and anchoring, so then he can hold that gap, which he does a good job on it. He does well on double teams. I have him right outside the top 100 right now because he is a redshirt junior, and I'm curious how he does with his shoulder injury, coming back on the shoulder injury and being on the defensive line. If it takes him a little bit to get back into that mode, and he doesn't feel like his 100% being with that shoulder injury, and he stays for another year. But if that shoulder injury is not an issue, then I agree. He'll end up being first round because it's hard to ignore that talent.
So, Randall, have you met Hank yet? Like, seen any of his podcasts?
No, I haven't, but we have talked back and forth. We have some similarities in some players that we like, and we've been chatting back and forth in the chat and whatnot.
Awesome. So, Hank, if you haven't met Randall, it was me asking Randall. Randall was the first podcaster on this station ever, if you didn't know that. So, anyway, so
it was a wild time.
Sooner or later, we'll have to put the two of you in the same room. Hank podcast on Mondays.
Nice. But yeah, so you have Christian Miller. My next one, which it's like kind of 1-1, is Tim Keenan also, because I love him as a true nose tackle and like Brevard, and always looking for nose tackles. I love the nose tackle position, and then obviously my bias clicks in for Cameron Ball from Arkansas. And I think Cameron Ball is a lighter version of Caleb Banks, not in size, but he does need to improve on some things. Cameron Ball had a wrist injury, but he is 100% throughout the training camp, so he's good to go. But he moves and twitches really well, plays at nose tackle and 3-tech, can play outside as well for 330. And he's got some good juice. He's got good ankle flexibility. He's great in the run, and he's getting paired up with David Oke this year. And those two... David Oke moves laterally really well, and Cameron Ball works well off him. So I expect Cameron Ball to have a big enough production year to get in the top 100, and I do see that happening with Cameron Ball. I'm a big fan.
Where do you have Oke? Just out of curiosity.
Mid fourth. I was very surprised at watching his tape. Like, he's a super interesting defensive lineman. He moves laterally like insane. Like, basically his job was stunts on a constant basis, and he did them insanely well. Like, coming from the nose tackle and then bending around the tackle was like his bread and butter when he was last year. So it's interesting to see how he's going to adapt into the SEC, but he moves very fluidly, but it's a lot of stunts. So I'm just curious to see how it's going to work out. What'd you think?
I think like he could be a guy that's fighting for like a top 50 spot. I think I have him literally like 50 or 50 something.
Yeah. NFS has him high.
And yes, that's also true. And I was just going to say, like, you're obviously like, you're coming from Abilene Christian. So
right.
Like, you're kind of just like, you got to hope and assume that he's going to like, go from Abilene Christian to SEC competition and make that work. But I mean, he just looks like a freak athlete, like
freak athlete
among a defensive tackle class full of freak athletes. He feels like a freak athlete. You're 100% right. Like, he's so fast laterally and moves so well that he's just able to just quickly fill gaps and stuff the run. And also just uses his quickness so well to be a pass rusher and get to the quarterback.
Anthony, are you talking about Cameron Ball?
No, we're talking about David Oke right now.
Yeah. The other Arkansas defensive tackle. I haven't watched Cameron Ball.
Who is the other one? I didn't catch the name.
I was talking about Cameron Ball, and then it rolled into David Oke because as a pair, I think they're going to be a very good pair. But David Oke's, I mean, keep going, Rudy.
Yeah. No, and I haven't watched Cameron Ball, so I could come back here another day and tell you that Cameron Ball is better. But I just watching, I just thought, like, athletically, he looks like he'll fit. He'll be able to compete in the SEC. Frankly, it just comes down to, can he handle the competition? And I maybe want him to, if he doesn't put on weight, at least just get I want to see if his strength can hold up against big mauling SEC linemen. But I'm very interested in watching him for Arkansas this year. I think he's got a lot of potential.
Same, agreed.
So do we want to pause for a commercial? We haven't done safeties. I think we've hit every defensive position group except safety. Why don't we do our commercials and then we'll tease safeties, and you have to stay 3 minutes to hear us talk about it.
Cool.
Randall.
Yeah, all right. At Randall Slifer, you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I try and respond to everybody, doing NFL draft content here with Jim and Draft Professors, which is an incredible group of everybody. I think our group chat is like 75 deep now. But I'll be doing Tuesdays, wide receivers with Andy. I'm super excited to get that started up and get the college season rolling. And then I also write for Team MBS. I do Arkansas, Buffalo Bills, and then everything in between. And then I'll be joining their Draft Central as well once the season ends. But that is me. And Russo?
Yeah, you can find me at Anthony_Russo97. I'm going to start ramping up the prospect watching and clip sharing and, all that good stuff as the college football season. What are we, 2 weeks away now? Oh, man, I'm excited. But yeah, so you can find me, and I'll be doing Draft Professor podcasts every Friday night and Saturday morning. And it's gonna be a fun season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you can follow the channel at NFL Draft Fanatic or search Draft Professor on YouTube. We have daily draft content. So every day you will be able to see new content on the draft. So the upcoming schedule, if I can remember. So tomorrow, Anthony, myself, and Jacob Roach will be discussing the defensive line class. On Sunday, Brian Maffey and Anthony are doing their top 50 with special guest Jacob Infante. Monday, we're doing an offensive line. So it's going to be just a discussion on the entire offensive line class. And that's actually going to be led by Hank, who you can see in our chat right here. And then I believe the gentleman from Home Squad Sports will be joining him. Tuesdays, Randall and Andy will be doing their Edge Big Board, and I believe we have a special guest coming on. And then Wednesday, we have more content, Thursday, etc. And we couldn't do this without Anthony and Randall each doing their 1/7. They each show up one day a week. And when 14 different people show up one day a week, you get daily draft content. And we should be at 2 podcasts a day, 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I think that's going to start in 3 weeks. I think the first week of September, we should have 2 podcasts a day. So Draft Professors is growing. We couldn't do it without you. We grow when you hit that subscribe button. So thank you very much for that. That being said, who are your top 2 SEC safeties, Randall?
All right, good. I'm glad you chose me first because I'm jumping the gun on this guy, and I hope I am right, to be honest with you. But I have Keon Sabb as my safety 3 behind Downs and Tianeman. I have Keon Sabb. I really like his IQ. He had which I now am, obviously talking out of both sides of my mouth because he ended his season on a broken foot. But he'll be coming back. I believe he played 7 games last year as well. But 6'1", 206. He's a super smart and cerebral guy. He can run sideline to sideline. Probably what kind of stuck out to me when I was watching 2024 season was my favorite, probably top 5 favorite play in summer scouting was they were playing Tennessee, and Nico was play action, rolled out to the right. And Keon Sabb watched Nico's eyes and saw where he's going. Keon Sabb took his eyes off of Nico, found the target, and delayed his hit until he received the ball. And it was like perfect, most perfect timing play I've seen in a long time. And just laid a hit stick on him as soon as the ball hit, and it ended up as a PBU. And the combination of his IQ, closing speed, and tackling ability was just shown in like one solid play sort of thing. He did well at Michigan, recruited from Michigan, then moved to Alabama, had the foot injury. So he's been touted throughout his whole entire collegiate career. And I think he's just a full all around, can do strong safety, free safety, all of the above. So I'm projecting high on him, but I do believe that if he plays his full season, that he'll be in discussion for a top 50 for sure.
So and then who is your next highest?
My next highest. My next highest, I believe, is Bray Hubbard, Alabama.
Okay, I was expecting Hubbard to be one of the two. Anthony, who are your two highest SEC safeties?
So get ready for this. Bray Hubbard is my number one.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's funny that we both have an Alabama safety as our number one, but it's not the same person. Yeah. I haven't watched Keon Sabb yet, and I watched him like a bit last season, but then he had the injury. Mm-hmm. But I haven't rewatched him for summer scouting. So there's a very possible world where he's safety too in terms of SEC, because I've literally just spent the last 20 seconds
trying to find it,
scrolling through my safety board, trying to find somebody in the SEC. I mean, I'm at safety 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Is it top?
10. I'm at safety 10 before I get to my second SEC safety. And it's Michael Taft from Texas, who people like a lot more than I do. I'm actually, I think, pretty low on him in a relative sense. Like, I think he's like a firm day 3 guy at this point. But I mean, he's a great story. He's a former walk-on. Went to Texas, and has sort of played his way into being like a leader of the Longhorns defense. He plays the ball really well. He had 8 pass breakups in 2024. I think he's really smart. He does a good job with recognizing route concepts, and then being able to act on them. He worked well. One, his measurements worry me. He's 6 foot, 175 pounds is what I have, which is alarming for really any position, but the safety position. And I think his tackling's inconsistent. He also has 29-inch arms, which again is not ideal at all. I think his physicality is lacking in general. There were also times where I just thought he wound up in the wrong spot in zone coverage, and kind of let guys get open. So yeah, I like Taft, but I think he is a day 3. I could see him being like a special teams contributor in the NFL. But between the size and the overall concerns with his play strength and his physicality, I'm not too sold on him yet. Andrew Makuba, he is not. So
right. That's what I was about to say, is I feel like people are trying to roll it over sort of thing. And I don't see it either, to be honest. He's right around the safety 10 for me as well.
Okay, so do we want to play a little game? So you want to quickly list off other SEC defensive players at any position and just we'll just give them a shout out. We don't have to go into detail, but you want to see like how long we can go to see if each of you can start naming players that are relatively high on your boards that are SEC defensive players?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Randall, go for it.
All right. See my next one on my list. Yeah. So I believe he's my 20th defensive player, which I'm higher on, is Will Lee III, Texas A&M. Russo?
Anthony.
Let's see. Oh, I guess I was going to say Deontay Lawson, but I guess we already kind of mentioned him. Wow. I thought I would have a lot more ready to go here. I wasn't expecting. Torian York, linebacker from Texas A&M. Another linebacker worth mentioning.
I'll go with Patrick Payton, edge from LSU. Randall.
My guy, I'm glad nobody took it. This is like a drafted team right now. I'm really enjoying this, by the way. I'm so mad I missed it. R. Mason Thomas, Oklahoma. Love that guy.
Nice.
Literally
And-
my next one. Okay, I have Mansour Delane transferred over
Nice.
from Virginia Tech, now at LSU. I actually funny enough, I just watched him yesterday. I hadn't watched him yet because I had watched him last year when I thought he would come out, and then he didn't. So now I'm caught up on him. But yeah, Mansour Delane is a fun watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give a sleeper out of Florida, defensive lineman George Gums Jr.
Oh, yeah. He's got a starting role for that. I'm going to go Malik Muhammad, cornerback, Texas. Like his game.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with corner, go over to Kentucky, JQ Hardaway,
Nice.
another corner, 6'3", 190. So from a size standpoint, if you like big corners, you'll probably like JQ Hardaway.
Oh, okay. So again, sleeper. This is a late round guy that could shoot up, but the edge from Texas A&M, Cassius Howell. He's on the radar.
He's on the radar. He's on the radar.
He has a prove it. This is a prove it year.
Yeah. I'll go defensive lineman Chris McClellan from Missouri.
If you're the kind of person that's going to bet on traits and bet on physical tools, you are going to want to see Demetrius Crownover, the offensive tackle at Texas A&M. He's got 35.5-inch arms, 85.5-inch wingspan, and he was a former tight end and edge. So a lot of athletic potential to work with.
So another defensive back from Auburn, Rayon Strader.
Yeah. You got who's don't let me lose. Oh, we'll stick with Missouri. Zion Young. Maybe we should 2 for it. And then quarterback Dalen Everett, Georgia. I got 2.
Zion Everett, Jesus Christ. Zion Young I think he's like top. Wasn't he second in NFS grades?
I don't get it.
I was like, whoa, we gotta calm down. Like we're really hyping him. We mentioned Damani Jackson before. I'm going to mention another Alabama corner, Cam Calhoun, who was a transfer from Utah. Now will be at Alabama. May not declare this year, especially because Alabama's got a kind of crowded cornerback room. But flash some good things. I won't be surprised if we're talking about him and Damani Jackson as 2 good prospects.
Yep. I'm going to shout out Dalton Miller. He was in Dalton's top 10 corners from Texas. Jalen Guilbeau.
Oh, yeah.
Texas.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll go. I'm curious to see how he turns out. I'm not sure what Tennessee is going to be this year, to be honest with you. I don't think they're going to be that good. But Tyre West from Tennessee. At 6'3", 290, he moves pretty well. Hasn't gotten a lot of snaps as a starting role, but he's got this starting role this year. And I kind of like his game. I just want to see what he's capable of this year.
Very nice, very nice. Another LSU corner, Ashton Stamps, the junior. Him and Mansour are going to be the 2 guys basically. So we'll see how they do, but they have high hopes for both of them this year.
So I'm staying at LSU, and I'm going to shout out safety AJ Halsey from LSU.
Mm-hmm. Transfer from Houston.
Let's see.
Wow.
I shout out Hank. He did mention Albert Regis. I won't take that from him, but Albert Regis from Texas A&M, that is a sleeper. And then I'll do a. Oh wait, no, that's Miami. Ooh, almost messed that up. Let's go. Shout out to Grayson Halton for Oklahoma. 6'2", 291, 4-star guy. I think he gets a good role in Oklahoma this year too.
Okay. So we've been going through, I don't know if you guys can keep going. I'm almost dried up here.
I'm getting there.
I have a couple left, but I'm definitely thinning.
Go for it, Anthony.
What did I just have? I just literally had the name in front of me. Oh, DQ Smith, safety, South Carolina. They're kind of hoping he's the Nick Imanwari heir apparent. We'll see, but that's the hope. But yeah, DQ Smith.
Any more, Randall?
Let me see. Oh, man.
And we're listing the top players, top defensive players in the SEC. I'm filibustering so Randall could look it up. There you go.
Yeah, it's not working. I think I might be close. I think I'm out. I think I'm mostly out. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So
maybe a couple cornerbacks, but that's all right.
So if you tuned in at the end, we covered the top defensive players in the SEC. We went position by position, and then we did kind of a blitz there at the end. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
So we have another podcast that's starting up in about 45 minutes going over the running back class. So stay tuned for that. But for Randall, Anthony, myself, and the 85 podcasters at the Draft Professor, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on a podcast again in 45 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.